All right. Welcome back, everybody.
Episode 1.
Yep.
Episode 1.
Official episode 1 of Secrets of a Church Girl. We are. It feels so weird that we're like this is a reoccurring thing now.
I know.
But we are back with episode 1, which probably sounds weird if we're saying we're back. The last episode was audio only, our intro to what these next few weeks and this season will be. But we are coming at you, so we're super excited. I am Randy Heather, and I am joined with my best pal.
Sam. No name Sam. No last name Sam.
No last name Sam. Don't look me up, Sam. We are hanging out. Yeah, this is Secrets of a Church Girl podcast where we read your confessions, we answer questions, and we tell our scary life experiences with everything involving church, Jesus, dating, topic, I don't know, anything. We're just here to talk. All the juicy tea that you've been looking for, you've found the place for it. But yeah, if you're listening to this, it is coming out right around Valentines Day. So we figured what a better topic than to talk about the scary thing that everybody runs from in church. Sometimes, not all churches, but that is sex. Yeah. I know you immediately think that, and you probably have a million things that have already come to your brain.
You're probably quaking.
Yeah, but don't be afraid. We are, but don't be afraid. we're just really. How do you feel about divulging in this topic?
Exposed.
You're like, I'm not ready.
No, I think it's interesting because I feel like it's not talked about at church at all. Besides, don't do it.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. It's either don't do it or you're not doing it enough with your spouse.
Yeah.
That's like the two. But I don't think there's an in-between for people that either aren't dating or you are dating and maybe that's not even a thing on your mind. So, yeah, we're just here to chop it up and chat it out. We want to just start with a few questions that we got sent to us that we asked on social media and figured, like, start with that and see what your guys' thoughts are if you even want to hear about it. And there are a few of you that do. So, hey.
I honestly didn't think anyone, not that I didn't think anyone was going to send anything, but I was like, no one's going to sit here and tell us
all their tea.
Mm-hmm. And then let us talk about it.
I know. And then we got stories and I was like, oh my gosh, which thank you just off the jump. If you have sent stuff in, it's really exciting for us too. Cause we're like, oh, people are in this with us and they want to hear about it.
Yeah. You're all anonymous. So don't worry.
So for next future weeks and topics and stuff, just so you know, if this is your first time listening, everything will be anonymous. Nothing is shared. Your name, the names of the people in the story you tell us, anything like that. If it's a church story you're telling, or if it's about dating somebody or leaders you have in your life, whatever it is, it's not going to be shared, which we hope you feel safe with that. Oh, let me address this. This is cran grape juice, diet cran grape juice.
For our visuals.
Yeah.
Visual people.
I've been, this is like, I crave this all the time, diet cran grape juice since I've been pregnant. And Sam's having water because she's cutting on caffeine. Which, go Sam, I'm proud of you.
Unfortunately.
So yeah, we're going to tell you guys a little bit about ourselves, kind of our dating history and experience. And then I think that might answer some questions. So we don't have to go into as much of it. And then we'll further into the rest. But yeah, shmam, tell me your whole life. Give it to me now. Bam.
I've seriously dated 2 people. And I've had like little like flings, if you want to call it that, throughout high school, but I don't count those. So
me either. Yeah, I don't count that either. Thank God.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So Billy is my longest relationship, even like dating. Obviously we got married and stuff, but I dated one other person, quote unquote. Oh, if you knew me in high school, I'm sorry. Yeah, and it was so weird and bizarre, and it was just like the most awkward thing. But I feel like in high school I had no clue what the heck I wanted, and I just feel like we were just talking about this, how like who we are from like 2 or 3 years before. This is just so disassociated with who we are. Yeah.
If you knew us in high school and you're listening to this, and I know there are people who are listening.
You don't know me.
Yeah, you don't know me.
Oh,
so sorry about you having experienced me in high school.
I know, I apologize. Yeah. And then Billy and I dated, but some of you guys know that Billy and I broke up like after we had dated for a few months or whatever. And then when we were broken up, I think I like briefly, like you said, had a fling with like two different people. Yeah. And then Billy and I got back together, but I was just like, no, this is weird. Yeah. The whole dating thing in church is just really, really, really weird. And I think it's just, honestly, I think it's like a traditional thing that has just been like, I don't know, somehow handed down. And I think the church right now has tried to make it like trendy to like date and get married quickly. But yeah, Billy and I definitely experienced that. Because you both of your boyfriends that you've had, you dated them and you met them through church, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. One was at my like home church before I moved, and then when I moved to Sydney, I dated another guy over there in Sydney. So they were both with church. So I've not really experienced like dating outside of church. It's like seriously dating. Yeah. Like I said, I had flings with people in high school that definitely didn't go to church, but it was like nothing more than just physical. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was too. When I dated in high school, wasn't anything involved in church. I didn't even bring them to meet my parents and stuff. It was just like, no, absolutely not. But I feel like that was one thing. I was like not having anybody meet my parents. And then Billy was the first person to meet my parents that I was dating. I just felt like weird. Like especially because if you know my dad has such a high expectation and standard for us. So I was like, yeah, you're not going to cut it.
But even friend wise too.
Yeah.
I feel like your dad has been like that. Like even when we were growing up, I felt like that.
He was very particular of who we were around. So I was like, the second I bring someone home, they're going to get the third degree and either they're going to run away or I'm going to be embarrassed in a few months that I even brought them home. So yeah, we dated and we dated in church. And Billy, we were just talking with Billy, my husband, and Sam here at the house. When we did start dating, it was like everybody decided all hands on deck for this one. And yeah, we went through the ringer, dude, because we had a breakup and it was public because Billy was the youth pastor at our church and I was a worship leader at our church. And everybody knew we had been dating, and then all of a sudden we're not dating. And so it was clear that there was a breakup, and it was like super awkward.
I feel like you had it worse than me because for both of my serious relationship breakups, I was not in the country.
Oh, that's nice.
I was in Sydney both times. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't have to deal with. I mean, it was good, but it was also like really sucky because I didn't have anybody. Like, I didn't have anybody to tell for the first breakup.
I remember that. I remember feeling me and my little sister Maya felt horrible. We were like, because breakups are hard, dude. I don't care. Later you realize, oh my God, that was like, thank God that didn't work out or whatever it is with your previous relationships. But it doesn't matter how you feel. Oftentimes that like initial breakup feeling that hurts,
It's
dude.
real bad. Yeah.
How did you do it by yourself, like overseas? Like what the heck did you do to get out of it?
I had one like really close friend and I confided in her a lot because I had no one else. Like I didn't know what to do. And I was like, well, I can't really do anything else but like cry and move on basically. Yeah. And there was still communication even after the fact though. So that kind of came back and bit me in the butt.
Wait, I do have a question.
What?
Because when Billy and I broke up, we broke up and I did not talk to him. I was,
She's like, done.
Yeah, I was like, absolutely not. I will not talk to you. I will not see you. I will not hang out with you. We had no choice but to see each other because we were both still doing youth ministry.
Right.
But we didn't like talk, like, you know, some people, they break up and they still talk to each other. Do you think that made it worse for you? Or did you think like in that talking that there was like hope that you would have something again or like, I don't know.
I feel like, it helped me get closure, but also I really did think we were going to get back together. After a certain point, I was like, okay, I don't want to get back together. Like it kind of helped me like get over it. But I do remember I thought I was going to not even finish my first year at college. I texted my mom and I was like, I don't want to finish. Like I want to come home because I left to college in the beginning of 2016 and we were dating the year prior. And I was in Sydney for 3 months, I think. And then he broke up with me over text message.
Oh, girl.
I remember so clearly.
The cowardice.
Yeah, he broke up with me over text message, and then it was like 2 weeks after, and I texted my mom. I was like, I don't want to finish college.
What did she
And
tell
she
you?
said,
You ain't got no choice.
yeah. Basically, she was like, you can't like. She basically
Did she know
was like,
that you guys had broken up?
yeah. that was the reason why I didn't. I was like, I can't be here by myself, like all this stuff. So then she was like, okay, then we'll book a trip and we'll meet halfways, which it wasn't halfways. Hawaii is not halfways.
But you got a trip out?
Yeah.
Someone break up with me so I can go to Hawaii. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Billy, do not.
I definitely got a trip out of it, but it was like I had to see somebody, so I had to see my family. There's no way that I was like, I don't think I could have finished that year if I didn't go on that trip, because it was barely the first semester of college.
Yeah.
Like I was on Australian school year, so you're probably confused as to
It's January to what?
January to December.
Yeah. Oh, so it's a full year.
Well, for the college, it's January, December, and then I guess summer break in America is in July, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
June, July.
Mm-hmm.
So that's their winter break because it's
Yeah. Oh,
winter.
yeah.
So
I remember
it's June, July, some of August, and you go back to school. Second semester is like the end of August. But I was barely in my first semester, in my first year, so I hadn't even really done anything yet.
Yeah. So you were like, I could get out of this.
Yeah, and Mom was like, no.
Yeah. All that to say, clearly, don't do breakups alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's your family, you have to go through it, or your one random friend that you just made 8,000 miles away from home. Don't do it by yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that too. You remember how when Billy and I broke up, I was so angry. I was
I thought you were
going
gonna fight.
I was ready. I was ready, dude. He broke up with me. For those of you who don't know. Yeah, I think I wish I would have been broken up over a text message than in a Chipotle. Billy and he broke up with me in a Chipotle, dude, and I remember being so mad.
I don't even think I know the story.
Oh, well, here I will tell you again. We had been dating for like, I don't even think we were like officially dating, but everybody knew we were like seeing each other, or in the church world, they like to call it courting. It doesn't matter, whatever you label it, but we had an intention to be together. And I think it had been like 7 or 8 months. And we had gone to like a Valentine's Day dinner with like a big other group of couples that were dating, which is another like Christian thing. Mind you, I do recommend some of these tips, okay? We went on a Valentine's Day dinner. We had it with a bunch of couples. And he was like, I want to marry you. Like, this is what I want for the rest of my life. And like all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, me too. I was like 18 years old. Yeah, I think I was 18. And the next day he asked me if we wanted to have lunch at Chipotle. And I was like, sure.
No, he did not.
Yeah. And the next day we got in line. He was totally normal, which was terrifying. He was totally normal. We sat down and like, I'm unwrapping my burrito and he was like, I just have to be like, I have to tell you something. I really don't think this is going to work out. And before I even finished unwrapping my burrito, he was looking down, opening his bowl, and I grabbed my burrito and I walked outside and I threw it in the trash and I walked to my car. I didn't even say anything. I just threw my burrito away and I walked to my car and I got in my car and I left. And I was so angry because I was so confused. So he like chased me outside and was like trying to talk to me, but I got in my car and I just left. I was like, I'm not doing this. If this is what you want, then that's it. My dad was very clear. If someone makes it clear that they don't want to be with you, there's nothing else that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be with you. Like, don't make it awkward.
Don't beg.
Make it don't beg. Don't make it uncomfortable for them. Don't make it more painful for yourself. Just go. There's nothing that needs to be explained. If they don't want to be with you, what else do you need to hear? Mm-hmm. Is what my dad was saying. And I was like, okay. That immediately came to my mind. And I was like, if you don't want to be with me, you're probably going to tell me that God told you, or you need to focus on God, or whatever the reasoning is.
The way I have experienced that.
Like, whatever the reasoning was, I was like, no, I'm out. So I left, and then he called me a bunch of times to try and like explain to me where he's at or whatever. And I just didn't have it. And then it was like 2 weeks later, and I remember going home. At first I was angry, but then I was sad. I was just like really sad because I was like, what the heck? I had thought like this was what we were gonna do, you know, like, and And then all the other stages of like a breakup kicked in, where you're like sad, and then you miss them, and then you're frustrated and you're angry. And then I was embarrassed because everybody knew. And then I remember Billy wasn't a favorite at the time, because all of like the people that had pretty much raised me knew that I had been like heartbroken. And I remember and I know they don't mind me sharing this story, but we call him Uncle Mike and Auntie Cheryl. My Auntie Cheryl was like, if he didn't realize what he had, then they were just like, everybody was really like comforting and consoling and like, you're gonna be fine. And I was like, no, because I had never really had a real breakup before that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, what the heck is this? Or I had breakups, but I wasn't like in love with the person like I had thought I was with Billy. But yeah, it was really weird. And then we had a long space where we weren't together, like almost a year, which I know you remember that. And then like during Christmas that next year, because that was like around Valentine's Day that we broke up. So then at Christmas, like before Christmas, we were doing outreach stuff, and he was acting super weird. And I just knew, I was like, something's up. And by this point, we had become friends. Like, we didn't talk for like 3 months at all. Like, I just went into meetings, answered the questions I had to answer, plan the worship sets I had to plan. And then I was like,
don't look at me.
Don't talk to me. Like, and he tried to be funny about it. And I was like, this isn't a joke. You hurt my heart.
The way I'm about to go upstairs right now.
Dude, I was like, you hurt me, man.
I know,
this
take
is not
him.
funny. He's really skinny. I know. Yeah, I remember being so mad. So then we became friends, which was huge, that we actually like could be in the same room together and like be cordial and stuff. And then, yeah, I had still liked him. I knew I had still liked him. I had tried dating 2 other people, and I was just like, I just felt awkward, like uncomfortable. And I was like, I knew I wasn't over him. And dating someone else was going to make it worse. Not that I expected that I was going to get back with him. Like, I didn't have this false expectation, like, oh, we're going to make it work. But I was like, clearly not over him. So going to date somebody else was only going to make it worse.
Yeah.
Or hurt someone else, or like all of that stuff, which there were a few things about that in the like comments and like questions and stuff. Because when we asked everybody for questions, comments, confessions, all that stuff like that, there were some things regarding this. And people were just saying like the amount of times they've gotten into relationships with someone and the other person is clearly not over their last relationship, or they weren't over their last relationship, and then how jacked up they both came out because one of them wasn't ready. And so, yeah, I didn't realize that there was like that correlation at the time, but I knew that at some way that this was weird. I just associated with this feeling with awkwardness, but it was really like, girl, you haven't healed yourself. Yeah. I don't care if you're Christian or not. You can be whole you need to find being healed and whole as an individual before you like jump into the next relationship. Yeah. So yeah, those 2 other relationships didn't work out. Obviously, I'm pregnant with this child. But yeah, so we got back together later that year, and I remember him acting like all weird, and I mentioned to like the last person that I had really been like confiding in about like all of this stuff, and she was like, girl, just put your best, you better work, and then just let him do what he has to do, let him realize what he has to realize.
I feel like everyone has gone through that.
Yeah, like, it was like that. Show
him you're living your best life.
Show him you got what you got, and then let that be it.
Yeah.
And I remember asking her like, do I say anything? Like, I feel like I can feel it. I can feel like the tension, like something's happening. And she was like, no, that's not your responsibility. Like, you made it clear how you felt. You didn't want out of this relationship. You didn't want to move forward, and they did. So if they want something different now, that's their responsibility to make it clear. Yeah. You know? Which I feel like so many people in relationships are like, when they have a breakup and it's not mutual and one person wants to be and the other person doesn't, there's always like a search in that one person to make it clear, like, oh, do you know I still like have feelings for you, or this could work if you wanted it to. And there's like this constant chase, but it's like, she told me, she was just like, no, if he wants to change it, he can man up. He has to learn communication skills. He has to learn how to be vocal, and he can tell you.
Yes.
And
I agree.
No, yeah. So then I just waited, and it was so hard, dude. Doesn't make it easy because you know what to do. And so then, yeah. he came back around like one night when we were doing the outreach thing, like I was saying, and he was like acting all funny and just kept trying to like hang out with me, and I was like, you're weird. And then that Saturday, it was like a Saturday, and we were at a production rehearsal for something that was coming up for Christmas, and he wasn't in production, and he wasn't in media, and he wasn't in anything that had to do with it, and he showed up.
He was there.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And I was like, what are you doing? Okay. And he just sat in the media booth, and it was so awkward because at our church at the time, you could literally you could see like it was at the back of the church, but you could see it from the stage. And I was like, what the heck is he doing here? And then I remember this. He texted me. He's like, do you want coffee? And I was like, what is happening? I was so confused because up to this point we had been like, it'd been normal, but like we weren't like hanging out by ourselves. Yeah. Like, oh, let's go and get coffee, and like that's like the Christian term.
Did you say yes, bestie?
I'm like, yes, best pal, thanks. No, I was like, I didn't answer. I looked at my phone, and he saw me look at my phone, and I just put my phone back down. You said. I was like, and yeah, after he was like, can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure you have something to talk about, weirdo. Like something's happening. And he just said, yeah, I feel like we're like I was wrong. I was wrong. Pulling me back, telling you what that was pretty much how it went. And he just said like, oh, I was wrong, and I feel horrible that I put you through this and like all this stuff, but I'm so happy we have a friendship. Because when we started dating, it was like I went to visit him after he had his last surgery because he's a cancer survivor, and I visited him in the hospital and like prayed for him or whatever.
I remember.
I've just put my foot in the room right there.
I remember.
And then literally like 2 weeks later, we had talked like every day since I had visited him, and then we were like, okay, we like each other. There was no like groundwork at all, and that might work for some people, but like if you're looking for a friend to be with, so you're not just like with a partner, like someone. I wanted a friend. Like I knew I needed somebody that I was gonna be friends with, and that we just skipped over all that. And then we were like, oh, we like each other, you know? And then we didn't really know, like.
Yeah, you guys jumped.
Yeah. And so he told me, like, oh, I'm so glad we have a friendship. Like, I was wrong. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And then triggered a bunch of other stuff in me, like, when I got all excited at first, right? But then I was thinking, okay, well, what if tomorrow you decide you don't want this, like you did last time? And then I had to deal with all that stuff, which I highly suggest dealing with before you get married, because if not, you'll have to deal with it when you get married. Just saying, I had to. But yeah, so then we ended up back together. And we walked out that day, and he was like, can I kiss you? And I was like, no. I learned my lesson. Good. Yeah. Good. Little standards here and there that go a long way, I think. But yes. So that was my story with how I ended up here with Billy. And now I'm 7 months pregnant with his baby. Anyway, we were, and Sam's my first child. Atlas is my second. Yeah, we had a long road. Yeah, but dating in church was definitely hard, especially when people see.
It's all exposed.
Yeah, it was. I remember a lot of things about dating in church, and this has nothing to do with the church we came from, because any church you come from is built up of a bunch of people that have flaws and problems, and so take that first. But before we get into anything further, I do want to put a disclaimer out that when we talk about dating and marriage and relationships and anything, it doesn't have to be this specifically, but as we continue to divulge conversations, Sam and I were talking, there are things that are plainly written in the Bible that I'm trying to say it without saying it too blunt or brutal.
There's no getting around.
Yeah, there's no getting around it. So there are ways that God has made up relationship, marriage, dating, the topic of sex, everything. And there's no getting around it. So it's not situational. It's not circumstantial. It's very, very, very clear because it's written. What you're going to hear is opinions and experiences that Sam and I have had, and how we have interpreted and lived out those convictions once we've understood the scripture, and how we wish we may have lived them out, before. So as much as you want to take this in, at the end of the day, it is written, y'all. It is in the Bible. It is very clear. So whatever you take from us, I think we're a sounding board. I don't think we are a final word for anything.
For sure.
So yes, we'll share stuff. Yes, we'll have funny things and thoughts and ideas and stuff, but it's very clear in the Bible what's written. So before you go on and make a handbook on Randy and Sam's advice,
oh my gosh, please don't
read the Bible and interpret and live your convictions how you feel Jesus is calling you to based on the relationship you have with him.
Because not everyone's convictions are the same.
Yes, I agree. Sam and I we have very different viewing opinions, believe it or not, on like a lot of different stuff. So yeah, we just want to start with that. So now that you have a little bit about us and our dating life, or I guess up to this point, we have some questions that I will start with. I think this is going to be a mix of questions and comments and stuff like that.
And like stories and experiences from other people.
Yeah, that have been submitted, again, all anonymous. But someone submitted a tip and said, rather than telling the girl you're interested in that God said she's your wife, maybe just ask her to be your friend, ask her to coffee. No need to dive into marriage right away with the face that's like this.
Yes.
So I guess this is for all of our, it doesn't really matter. This is for anybody, but Sam, I know you have an opinion on this. Divulge, Miss Girl.
What specifically?
Well, she just said, like, before, instead of like a guy coming up to you in church and over religiousizing the like dating, it's because she's saying that, you know, people have come up to her and been like, God told me you're my wife.
I've never had someone come up to me and tell me that, but I've had someone use that excuse, or the excuse of God telling them to break up with me. And I could not believe that that's what I was hearing. Like, I wanted to laugh so bad because I was like, oh, well, did he tell you to date me 6 months ago and then break up with me in 6 months?
Yeah.
Or like what? Like,
yeah.
I was so confused.
It is really awkward. I think the God card is declined in my books. Like, it's
yes.
And look, it's different if you feel like God is speaking to you actively about multiple things, but when it happens to be the only thing that he's talking to you about is dating or not dating, I would challenge you to divulge your relationship further than just God being an answer to your dating life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I feel like that's a huge thing.
Also, just think about if a girl came up to you and said, God told me you're going to be my husband. How weird.
I've heard that.
Like, how weird would that make the other person feel?
I have heard that, dude.
Like,
no, like a girl saying that. I
believe that. No, that's why I'm saying it. But like, for guys who come up to girls and say that, just think if it was switched. Like,
it's overwhelming.
Well, you would be like, okay. Let's fight.
Dude, I know. It is really awkward. I think that's a great tip. It's like, okay, let's start with, like I was saying, let's start with just being friends. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't matter how far you go, how long you expect your relationship to last. If you don't have a friendship in the person, it won't go anywhere anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great tip. Oh, thank you for submitting that. Someone else said, make sure you're whole before trying a new relationship, which we were saying. Like, it doesn't really matter what your life is like, what route you take, who you believe in. I think if you're not settled in your own life, bringing someone in is not going to fix anything.
Yeah.
You know? And then someone else said, be upfront in the beginning of dating with your expectations. How do you do that without like diving straight to the punch and it getting like, whoa, why are we talking about all this?
I actually did that in my last relationship because I was trying to avoid the outcome that ended up actually happening. And I just said, like, when he asked me out, I said, are you sure? I said, are you sure? Because I'm looking for the long term. Like, I want to get married eventually, and I don't want to like waste time and like, you know, just stuff like that. I said that. I was like, I don't want to waste time, and like, not to be a trip, but I'm getting older, and I'm not like 18 anymore, just like doing whatever.
Giving time away. Yeah.
And he said, yes, that's what I want, whatever. And I said that not necessarily like fully 100% being like, yes, I want to get married to this person. Just, I said that so I wouldn't have the outcome that I had, which is getting broken up with, which I don't think that's healthy, but I've been straight up about it in the beginning like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, you can share your expectations as much as you like, and they can share theirs. But I think there's also a side of it where it's like, you understand that things might change.
Right.
And it sucks. It freaking sucks when it changes. But things change. You know what I mean? And that's how it was with Billy and I. And it was like, okay, well, we made it clear this is what we wanted. But then things changed. And he pulled his God card out too. And I was like, declined. I'm walking out of this Chipotle. I'm throwing my $10 burrito you just paid for away too. Yeah, because but I think it is good too. Because when you go into, and I don't even think even just in dating, but in like friendships, when you have a girl, like your friends, this is your girlfriend or like whatever, sharing what your expectations are, all you're doing is making it clear to yourself that what you want is out there, and if it's not met, it had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because I think what happens then is if someone doesn't meet those expectations and you've made them clear, that person is making it clear to you that what you expect is not of value. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I've known, even in friendships of mine that I've had, it's like, I've made it clear, like, look, I don't want to just throw my time away, dude. I'll hang out with no purpose or no intention. We do it all the time. We'll literally just sit in a room on our phones and laugh and whatever, and it not be this intense conversation.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not throwing my time away with people that don't value my time. And that's just because I've learned that there's a value on my watch now. But I think when you do make your expectations known and people don't meet them, then you just know they don't see the value that you see in yourself, and cut
bye,
snip cut it out. Is that bad? Full House? Did that just age me? Yeah. Well, yeah, I think they just make it clear for you.
Yeah.
Friends, dating, whatever it is, it ain't about it. I know, Sam, you have some of the questions too. You can start with whichever ones you have.
Okay, this one says, are you a jealous partner? Did you or have you dealt with jealousy?
Ooh. Have you?
I want to say no. Like, I want to say no.
Because I think there's levels.
Like, what do you,
like, I think if you have moments where you're like, what's he talking about over there with her? And then I think if you're like looking through their phone all the time, you're constantly like wondering where they are, searching their location, not for like basic safety, but you're convincing yourself of that, but you're like genuinely just like super controlling.
Then I definitely have just had the moments of it where, I'm like, okay, what are you doing over there?
Yeah.
I'm over here.
Come hang out with me.
But I have never ever gone through anyone's phone, or like, I feel like I'm the opposite. Like, I'm really trusting of.
I don't feel like you're like, I don't think you're jealous at all.
Okay.
That from what I've experienced, like,
it's definitely just in the moment, like what you said.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. I think in the beginning of mine and Billy's relationship, yes. I was like but it wasn't because of anything he did. It was just because I was insecure, which I mentioned earlier when I was saying, like, if you don't deal with it before you get married, you'll deal with it when you get married.
Ooh.
Doesn't matter how far you run. Doesn't matter what you do. I ended up in therapy, which is great for anybody. Would 10 out of 10 recommend. I don't care who you are, what you think you have, what you don't think you have. Trust me, you need therapy. Yeah. So I went through therapy, but yeah, I was definitely jealous in the beginning and had like a lot of insecurity issues that came from our really awkward breakup and me like thinking he wanted something, but he didn't. And one day he just changed his mind, thinking that was going to come again. But then also a bunch of other stuff that just happened in my childhood and like upbringing and watching like my parents' marriage and stuff. I just brought a lot of that insecurity in that then added, like, insecurity was the problem, but like I manifested in jealousy and like being really intense and like angry and all the time.
She was.
So yeah, I think I definitely have dealt with it, and it's real, y'all. But I think there's two parts to jealousy. One, I think that some of it might be real, like you may have a real reason to be frustrated or jealous or whatever, because you're seeing your partner or the person you're with genuinely not treat you well, or they're doing things that may be like questionable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes in those situations, your partner will try to tell you that you're crazy, and don't let them write that off. The reason I knew that there was nothing to be jealous about was because Billy didn't say like, you need to get over it or stop acting like that.
Right.
He was like, what am I doing that's making you feel like this? I'm so sorry that you feel like this. How can I affirm you? How can I make you feel more confident in the way that like I love you? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think when you are jealous and you do have those feelings, you have to talk about them, dude. Like, it can't be something that you just write off, because it'll eat you up. It'll keep you awake at night. You'll be grabbing their phone when they get in the shower. You'll be looking at their location when you should be enjoying your day. Like, there's things that it'll just take over your life.
Yeah.
And so you have to talk about it. And I think when you talk about it, you'll find out a lot more than you realize. Because had Billy been like, you're crazy, you need to get over it, why are you so insecure, why are you so this, he was like, no, what, like, okay, well, I'm like, why are you feeling that way, what can I do?
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's two ways. So beware how they handle when you bring it up.
Yes.
But you can't expect them to like work on it if you're not working on whatever it is that's bringing those feelings up either. Okay. Okay, let's see, what's the next one. Yeah, someone asked, can you fall out of love? I don't know. I think this is a deep question too. I think people say they fall out of love a lot. I think I've seen it especially in our age group of people that have gotten married young.
Yeah.
Because maybe they got married a little bit too early. I can't like judge a relationship or whatever, but that seems to be an easy way out. Oh, we just fell out of love or whatever, which isn't easy because it is still hard to realize that or to think that. But I think love, the way that it's intended to be, is a continual choice. Like, it's every day.
That's literally the next question I have.
Oh,
is love a choice?
Oh, I think so. Do you think it is?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think choosing love means it comes with work, you know, but not, I don't know. Billy and I we were talking about this too. It's like, I think marriage is such a turnoff now because it's been displayed as like this huge daunting, like, oh, it's so much work, you know? But, and if you make small decisions every day, then you won't get 10 months down the road into your relationship not having worked for 10 months and having to make up for that. And then it's hard as hell. But if you're daily like making a conscious decision and a conscious effort, then you won't end up with this mounting issue. Yeah. You know, where you're like, okay, I can't love them anymore.
Bye. Yeah.
See you later. This is over.
Yeah.
This is out. Yeah. I definitely think it's a choice. I think any emotion, once you feel it,
you choose to act on it.
Yep. So, oh, I did have someone, I don't know if this is a tip or just an observation. She said, I learned that a lot of men perceive a strong woman as not needing love or affection, which I've never experienced because Billy's like real sappy, thank God. But I have seen it, like, where I have people in my life that are like really strong, independent women. And because of that, their significant other thinks like, I don't have to do anything for you. Yeah. And it ends there. I know you see it. Yeah. Yeah. Where it's like, no, they don't need anything from me. Yeah. And I think it's just sad.
Or like, I'm only going to give you this and that should be fine. Yeah. I've never experienced it either, but I have seen it.
Yeah, it's real. And I don't think that's right. Period. End of story.
Yeah,
you deserve, if you make your expectations clear and whatever love languages and stuff, all that comes into effect and it's still not being met, then I think that goes back to the same thing. They know what your expectations are, they know what you need, and they're not meeting them by choice. So time to start rolling, baby. Yeah, do you have any other ones?
Oh, yeah.
I'm scared.
Did you and Billy have sex before marriage? If not, how did you wait?
Oh God. the blank answer, like the point blank answer, no, we didn't have sex before we got married. But
I was gonna say, what's the not point blank?
Yeah, I think we didn't have sex before we got married. We dated for almost 3 years, but that was including that time. That 3-year time is including like the 8 or 9 months we were broken up. So 2 and change. Okay, so no, we didn't have sex before we got married, but we basically ran around and did anything else because in our head, well, it's not this, so it's okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I think that's a lot of people's heads too.
Yeah.
A lot of Christians' heads.
And I think, I just watched a Middle Ground video. Have you heard Middle Ground videos?
Mm-mm.
I think it's by Jubilee, which is like a YouTube channel, but like a production streaming thing. And they bring people in from both sides of one topic. So like...
Okay, wait, I think I have heard of this.
You've probably seen some, but you just didn't realize that they were them. They have a bunch of them. But there were one on... I think it was just like virgins, and I don't even think that they were Christian or anything like that. But there were some that were, and there were some that weren't, and then there were some that were just by choice, or they wanted abstinence, and they didn't associate themselves with any religion or things like that. And the guy that was that was like actively Christian, he said, I don't know how he phrased it, but I'm going to attempt to rephrase it. But basically, that the end result was the same in all situations, whether you're having oral sex, normal sex, any of the sexes, that the end result was the same in all of them. The goal was the same in all of them. So he was like, if you do choose to participate in religion, or you do have a relationship with Jesus, and you're saying that you're choosing not to have sex, but you're doing all the other things, the result or the reward at the end is the same. So does it really? And I think for the first time, even being married for 6 years now, I was like, that makes sense. It's true. Like all of these routes, if you are choosing to live this lifestyle, which some people don't, but if you are choosing to go this route, then just choose it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, it did make more issues in our relationship for sure, because now you're bringing in like a whole other element of stuff. The way I think that we didn't have sex before we got married, I think there's a few things. Partially it was conviction. Like, oh yeah, we definitely know we shouldn't be doing this. Like we shouldn't be having sex. So we didn't have sex. I think it was also like standards we had talked about before. But then our circle of people around us knew what our standards were. Not because they made us stick to them, but because we said this is what they were going to be. So then if we ever tried to like fall out of those lines, they were like, hey, remember you said you wanted to do this. You know what I mean? Which is just accountability. Like my mom was so strict with our dating life. Like even when we were engaged, she was really strict. Like I wasn't allowed to spend the night at his house. He wasn't allowed in my room. We weren't allowed to do like vacations with each other, even if I wasn't allowed to go with his family on a vacation. He wasn't allowed to come with ours on a vacation. We weren't allowed to like travel overnight anywhere together. Like it was just very much like all of these rules. And I think because we decided we didn't want to have sex with each other, those made sense. Do you know what I mean? For some people, if that's not like the way you want to live or whatever it is that you've decided, then those might sound outrageous to you.
Yeah, I'm just like explain this to someone who's listening who wasn't raised in church like us.
Yeah.
Or like why is it so extreme?
Yeah. So and it didn't feel extreme because it just felt like these all make sense to the goal. Yeah. The end goal. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, if you're like brand new to all this and you're like, what the heck are all of these rules? Billy and I believed when we were dating that sex was like a privilege and it was a sacred thing that made that we were gifted to step into when we got married. And we wanted it the first time for us to have real, normal, regular sex, hot, steamy sex the night of our wedding. And we didn't want it before. And there was just a bunch of that was going to be a privilege. And if we jumped into that before, I think one, we were going against what was like clearly written in the Bible, but also like we were going to miss out on what that one moment could be. And we were going to take it away from ourselves. Nobody else, forget how you see it, forget like what you think. We were going to take that moment away from each other. And after like having the most beautiful wedding in the most beautiful dress with the best experience at the end of the night, that wouldn't be something we've never experienced before. It would be like just another night, you know? That was for us. So we, with that in mind, then we backtracked and said, how do we make that happen? How do we stick to that? And so, my mom's thing with like vacation was you can enjoy a vacation with your significant other when you're married, because then there's so much excitement the first time. Yeah. She's like, when you go on your honeymoon, this is the first time you're waking up to this person. And it's so like refreshing. Like, wow, we made it to this point, or like, this is an exciting feeling. Now, there are people that have gone on vacations and they wake up at their honeymoon and it's the best feeling ever. So for us, it was just, that's the way that we wanted to take that route. So that's why she was like, vacations or a no, which now I agree with. Now I feel like it is something really special. And it is something like, nah, you earned this. You get to wake up to me. Yeah. Like, aside of the Bible, aside of like everything that has been written for me, you waking up to me, that's a privilege, baby. And you're going to have to pay for that. You know, you're going to have to put a ring on it. You're going to have to commit to something before you just get to wake up to me, go to sleep to me. I make your bed. I put your sheets up. Yeah. I take care of you. I'm not taking care of you until we're married. And even then, we're going to take care of each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was for us because we knew what our goal was. For some people, Christian or not, some people don't agree with that. And that's totally, again, like we said, whatever your conviction is with your interpretation of scripture. So yeah, we didn't. But there were other things that we found ourselves doing that were almost like, okay, so then what? It's just this one thing, you know? Yeah. And yeah, but even when we were doing all of that other stuff, we would feel horrible after. And not because we were told to feel horrible, but because there was a genuine conviction. And I think that's when you know that you should be curbing how you're living your life. Yeah. And it wasn't, I knew it wasn't based on what everybody had told me we should be doing or shouldn't be doing. I just knew, dude, this is like Jesus is talking to me. It's very clear. Like the Holy Spirit is being very clear and I'm just ignoring it. You know, because it would make more sense for me to just do what I want, you know? Yeah. But I felt like I knew it was what I was doing was wrong. So yeah, that's how that went. But it was hard. And it was funny because we had people in our lives too that would like call Billy. Like he was just telling Sam.
Oh yeah. He was just telling me
that Uncle Mike, he would literally call Billy sometimes randomly, like 10 o'clock at night and be like, what are you doing? Where are you? Like, how was your day? Billy would be like, why is he calling me like at 10 o'clock? Are you with Randy? And that was like intentional. Like, are you with her at 11 o'clock at night? What's happening? You know, mind you, I was like 18, guys, like 19. Billy was 23. So he was looking out for his niece that's 18 years old, that's dating this guy that just started coming to church, you know? Yeah. So there were just, we just let people into our lives. So I think it was the conviction. I think it was the standards we set. And then, yeah, the accountability side, which we like to use that word in church, but accountability only works if you're honest. So if you're not honest, it doesn't really matter what kind of accountability you have.
Yeah, there's no point.
There's no point. If you're just, accountability only runs to the level of your honesty. So if you're just not going to tell the truth, then don't even say you have accountability. I think that's even how you are. You're like, if you're going to do it, do it. If not, don't.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I am for sure. I don't know if that's like, I guess that's just, I don't know if that's like my viewpoint on it, but like you said, like your conviction is your conviction. Everybody has it. And it's not just about, I said this earlier to Randy and Billy, it's not just about sex before marriage. It's like literally anything. Like, like, I don't know, like drugs or like drinking. Like, what is your conviction like to live day to day? I don't know. That's just like, I don't know. For me, it's just like, if you're going to do it, then do it and stop lying about it. Or like, if you're not going to do it, don't do it. Great. Like, that's how you chose to live. I'm not going to go and tell you what to do. that's just,
Yeah, I think it's good, dude. That it's like, if you are going to live this way, then just live this way. And the thing is I think too often in church, there's two things, but I think one thing is our convictions change situationally.
mm-hmm.
So 6 months ago, oh no, you better not go do this. You better not go do that. And then you find yourself in the situation and suddenly none of those convictions are the same.
The way I literally
like,
cannot when people do that, like that. I can't even talk about it because it makes me crazy. Like, just do it. Like, what?
Yeah.
I can't even put it into words how much it annoys me when people say, like, hypocrites, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
it is awkward, especially, and then you have people that are like, wait, you said you wanted to live your life this way. That's how people were with us.
mm-hmm.
But you said this is what you wanted, or this is how you were going to live.
Yeah.
Or before someone made you feel good about yourself, that this was your way of life.
Mm-hmm.
But now that your emotions are curbed, everything changes. And then we get upset at the church because they hold us accountable for the things we said we were going to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's when you know if you have real people in your life, you know? And I think there is a side where the church can get super overwhelming with dating. But I think when you say you're going to live this life a certain way, and then people don't even come like angrily, but they just say like, hey, isn't this what you wanted? Let me help you sustain that. Then we get upset because someone's holding us accountable. So don't be mad because someone's like.
If you put it out there that you want to live a certain way and then you don't.
And then you have people that love you enough to hold you to that, and then you get upset. I think that's where it can get awkward.
Yeah.
Because I think we were talking about this also, that there's like a rush to get married in the church.
100%.
And there have been so many, I hate to say this, but there have been so many failed marriages in the church because there was a rush to get you married, because if you're married, then you're not going to have sex with each other before you get married. Or if you're married, then you can run a ministry. Or if you're married, then you can do this. Or if you're married, there's all these quote unquote benefits to it, not realizing how unprepared people are for marriage.
And it, like, traumatizing it can be for people who aren't ready for it.
Yeah.
And then ends badly.
Yep. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
That's a secret, y'all. If you aren't in church.
If you aren't in church. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like a get married, hurry so we can move you on to the next thing in your life. As if the person you're marrying doesn't have to get on that road with you.
I know.
You know? I just remember that being like a big trend. Like, everybody just do it now, quick, fast. And then you're with the person that you wake up with and you're like, holy cow.
What did I do?
Yeah, what did I do? How do I do this? You know, and then you're like, oh, we'll just grow together. But then you see a bunch of failed relationships because they literally didn't do premarital counseling, or they didn't figure out their souls before.
Yeah, they weren't even friends before. They just started dating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary. And trust me, not because it's scary because it's far off and like you shouldn't, but it's scary because I've experienced that. So I know. Yeah, I know what that's like. We do have a few confessions. I'm going to actually have Sam start with one. And I think it's so cool that you guys trust us enough to share some of these stories, because these are deep, like, the Bible does talk about, like, when you can confess with your mouth, there's a lot of healing that comes with that. I think that immediately Jesus forgives you for anything you ask, but you find healing when you can talk about stuff. And even if it's a message on Instagram in a DM or an email you send to us, like, whatever way you find some healing through that, we're just glad that we can be a part of it.
Okay, this confession is a girl, and she says, I've been dating my boyfriend in church for 4 years, and last year for Valentine's Day, we had sex for the first time. He didn't force me, but I felt like that was what was expected of me because it was Valentine's Day. I had made him wait, and social media didn't help my decision. Since then, we haven't slept together, but I feel horrible every day, and I haven't told anyone. What do I do now? I feel disgusting. I'm scared if I tell someone that I'll just be judged.
That hurts my heart.
Me too.
That literally hurts my heart so bad. It hurts my heart because you're not disgusting, first of all, if you're listening to this. You're not like disgusting. You're not less than. I hated with a passion the analogy of the chewed up gum in church. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Or the
flour.
The flour.
Oh man, that just like it's so. I understand the attempt, but no. For those of you guys that don't know what we're talking about in youth ministry, or just like in church growing up when you were younger, there was always an analogy when they would start talking about like when the purity ring ceremony would come around that time of year, and they would do a message on like purity and virginity and like abstinence and all of that. And they would, and I've seen it at multiple churches and online. I've seen it everywhere. And they would say, this is what your virginity is like. And they would, or this is what you're like, right? You?
Yeah.
And they would open a piece of a stick of gum, and they would chew it with their mouth. And then they would take it out and put it back in the wrapper and rip and like crumble it.
They would say that that's what you're like after you have sex.
That this is what you're like now.
Yeah.
You're unusable,
so you
unchewable.
The gum stick before. And then when you have sex and it gets chewed up,
you're chewed up.
Yeah. God.
That's pretty much you. And then the flour one, if you guys watch Jane the Virgin.
No. Yes.
It's also
crumpled.
Basically, it's like this beautiful flour, and she like crushes it up and crinkles it and says like, this is you once you have sex, and then
you can't put it back.
You can't put it back together, which, okay, kind of get the concept, but I think it's a little bit scarier, and it's demeaning. Or what do you think when you would, like, now that you're an adult and you hear that analogy?
I just think that can mess you up.
Yeah, like you have no value after that.
Yes, like that's really not a healthy way to talk about it. And like for church to be the ones talking about it like that, of all people, I don't know. I feel like it's really wrong, and it should stop like being used.
Yeah. I think there's a better way to communicate the value.
Yeah.
Of that, because I don't know, even before Billy and I started dating, the idea of having sex with somebody, I knew that I was going to get attached, right. Christian or not. Like there is something that becomes of that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think because this poor girl feels disgusting, at some point she may have heard that conversation that that you're of less value now.
And that is not true.
As if anything we could do or not do adds value to us in Jesus' eyes.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Right. Because nothing you do or don't do could make Jesus love you any more or any less. So let's start with that, our sweet 19-year-old church girl.
I know.
I think if you feel that deeply, I would definitely spend some time doing this. And this is just me, and Sam, you can give your input, but I would spend time like really praying and deciphering through, are part of these feelings because I've been beaten to think that if I do this, I'm a horrible person. And then are part of the feelings like genuinely like, I just know I shouldn't be doing this. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Cause that's where I was when Billy and I would like have moments of vulnerability and slip up. It was like, I knew that it was a conviction. Yeah. And that's where those feelings came from. It wasn't like a religious thing where like I'm going to be beaten over the head. I think I kind of got over a lot of that stuff. Like once I was like graduated high school, like, nah, I'm going to hear the Holy Spirit now. But yeah, I think that's what I would say is you have to decipher through those feelings and figure out what's a genuine, like, man, this shouldn't be how I live. But then also what's just like a really toxic religious way of thinking.
I would say I'm a very, very practical person. If you know me,
yes,
I'm very practical. And this is just what I would do, but I just wouldn't. I know it's really, really hard to not do, and it's really easy to say, but just don't do it anymore. If it makes you feel like a certain way, don't do it. But it's also like that with anything that makes you feel terrible or anything that makes you feel like less than. If you can, don't do it. Like, stay away, or like, I don't know, and talk about it maybe with your partner. I don't know. it's a hard like thing to give advice on, or like I'm just saying personally what I would do.
Yeah. No, it's true. You are very practical. Like if you feel like this, which she clearly said she hasn't, but I think you have to forgive yourself.
Yes.
Like, especially if we're coming up on Valentine's again and you guys have abstained this long again.
Yeah. Like,
all right, girl.
Good job.
Yeah. Like you've really, I would say if you're trying to punish yourself, Miss Girl, you've been punished. You feel like this every day. Like
that's enough.
That's enough for you to you deserve the forgiveness to yourself. Like you deserve to feel.
You don't need to be punishing yourself.
Yeah, no. Like I think if you fail, address in your own standards. If you've failed at something, you have to make the decision to also get up and move forward, so that you can like process this stuff and move forward with your life, because you deserve to be like to love yourself. I know it sounds so cheesy, but you do. So our sweet little 19.
We love
you. We love you, baby. You're not judged here. Thanks for sharing with us. I have a confession. It's from a girl, and she says that she was well involved in her church. I'm going to, because she left the names in, so I'm going to try and jump around.
Skirt around the names.
So she was well involved in church for quite a few years in her local church, and she got a boyfriend 2 years ago. She's been involved in her church for 7 or 8 years and involved in her ministry. And her boyfriend moved in together, and they started sleeping with each other. And the like leaders or people in her ministry basically brought her down from the leadership position she was in, and she isn't serving anymore because of that, because she's living with her boyfriend and all of that. And now she's left angry and frustrated and upset with her church, but also she feels a small amount of conviction that she knows that she shouldn't be living like this, because before she started dating, these were the standards she had for other people as well.
Yikes.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Didn't you and I just talk about this? I feel like we just talked about it.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did talk about this.
Not about this specific situation, just in general.
This idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty popular. Not popular, but it happens a lot in church and ministry. I have seen it. People get taken off platform or get pulled out of serving for this reason. But
yeah, we were just talking about this. So I don't know. There's not a question in like a specific direction, but I think she was just kind of sharing her experience. I think back to what we said in a little bit before was, if you put out there that this is the life you want to live and then you don't live it, I think you don't, if you don't live it, but then you also don't make it clear that maybe your convictions have changed.
Yes.
And when people hold you accountable, don't be shocked.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like if you're making a clear statement like, hey, we feel comfortable with this, whatever it is, then you have to expect that your people that are in your life are going to be like, yo, you said you didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I think there is also, when you get involved in church and when you're like deeply involved, like after 8 years, I would say you're pretty deeply involved in church. I don't know how to say this without being like mean.
I know what you're going to say.
What?
I can say it.
Oh, go ahead.
If it's the same thing we're thinking.
Okay, what is it?
Know your church.
Yes.
Know your church and
Thank
know what is expected of you when you choose to serve on a team there, before you get into anything else, like on the side, I guess. Like
when she says know your church, like if your church's belief system is don't live with your significant other until you're married, or don't have sex until you're married, which you're going to find a lot of churches do, because it is written in the Bible. When you do realize that, like, don't be shocked when they uphold who they say they are, because we often get mad at the church for not being who they say they are. So when they are who they say they are, it's just not convenient. You know what I mean? So I think there's that side. Don't be shocked when your church is like uplifting or upholding what you know that they're about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do I think that you should stay angry. I think you should express how you feel. I don't think you have to like be like, okay, I'm gonna come back next week because I listened to a podcast and they told me to be fine. But I think you should definitely express how you feel. But I would divulge, and this is just my side because I know we're a little different. Is yeah, I don't know how long you're gonna. I don't know how to say this. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But if
basically, I don't know. I feel like staying mad is not going to do anything for anybody. And if you left the church, I don't know. Did this person leave the church?
No, they said they're still at church. They're just not, and they're like not allowed to be in the ministry.
Then be okay with not being on there, on the ministry teams or whatever. Like if that's how you choose to live your life, like I said, live your life and don't like just live. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like if it was me, I would be like, yo, I live with my boyfriend. We sleep together. And like, if serving on this team is not my main priority or
isn't a value over that.
Yeah. Then I'm not going to be on the team. Like, that's just me though.
Yeah. There are people, like you're just saying, that will hold that of value over the other. And I understand for some people, they're like, oh, this is my situation. Again, like I said in the beginning, I don't think the Bible is situational. So, and this is where it's going to come to head. Like where I'm going to this is again, how, in my opinion, in my experience, like when I live out what I believe situationally, then I end up with a lot of confusing situations. Mm-hmm. Like in this week, because this feels good, I'm going to do this. But next week when it doesn't feel good, I'm not going to do it. And then in 2 weeks, when neither of those things feel good, I feel dumb for living out both of those things. Right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, it's not situational. And if you want to live this way, like we probably sound like broken records. But if it's going to be it. If it's not, then don't. And I think we have to realize in life, every decision you make comes with the consequence and comes with the reward.
Yeah, and your convictions are your convictions. I can't tell you what your conviction is. Mm-hmm. Randy can't tell you what conviction is. We can't tell each other what our convictions are. Mm-hmm. And everyone just lives a different life. And like, yeah, I don't know. You just have to do you. And if you have your conviction, then pray about it. I don't know. Like,
yeah, but I would definitely talk to somebody that you find, even if they're not involved in your church, but you're gonna be okay with hearing an unbiased opinion, and that may not be in your favor. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think we often look for people for advice on relationships outside of our church when the people that are giving us advice doesn't fit in our favor. Like maybe if I ask somebody else, they'll give me the answer I want to hear.
You go down the list.
Yeah. So I am sorry though that you've almost been like exiled. I hope that the people that you're doing ministry with are still in relationship with you, even if you're not serving. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So I think that's what's more damaging than anything else. Yeah. Is that if you stop serving, you also lose all of the people that you've been doing life with for 8 years. So I would say if you have lost all those people, or if those people aren't in your life anymore, you definitely need new friends, like for the long haul. Yeah. You know? Yes. And okay, the next one, and this will be like the last confession. I have it on my phone. Let me read it here. Okay, the next one is from another one of our church girls. She was about 24, I think, when this happened. But she started dating someone who was like in the visual eye of their church. She was new to the church and
use non-church language. So popular.
Yeah. So this girl started dating someone in her church who was technically popular in that crowd and was basically like shunned by all of the females on staff, all the leaders, like the church, because she wasn't good enough, because she hadn't been Christian long enough. She hadn't gone to Bible school yet. She wasn't like well versed in the Christian world. And, was trying to convince the guy to like break up with her because she wasn't like religious enough for him, and she hadn't been like in the faith long enough and all that stuff like that. And so, yeah, she was traumatized. She said that her relationship ended up working out and they're still together.
I'm trying to keep my facial reaction neutral because this is also getting filmed.
I know. I'm like,
that's just straight up Mean Girls movie.
Yeah.
Like, how is that happening in church?
I think we have to go past that, where it's like, I feel like if it would happen anywhere that people are in public eye, like everybody has an opinion everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You would hope that in the church, the least of those appear.
Right.
But it almost seems like that's where a lot of people find that they are elevated compared to others because of their like choice of lifestyle or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, that's horrible.
I cannot believe.
Yeah, I just...
Like, I can't believe, but I also can, which is really bad.
I can't believe, but I can because I've seen it.
Yeah.
Not in this situation, but I've seen it in churches.
Yeah. And not even with, like, dating someone, just being new to the church even. Like...
Yeah. I know. Well, when Billy and I started dating, he wasn't... You remember... He wasn't Pastor Billy when everybody met him. He was a cancer kid, and then he went from cancer kid to not being the cancer kid, so nobody had a reason to feel bad for him anymore. And it was like, who is he?
Right.
Where did he come from? Like, what does he want? Everybody had a question. I think part of that is, yeah, we want to be protective or whatever it is. But then the other side of that is like, okay, well, how far does your protective spirit go that you start to exile people?
I know.
Like, what if this poor girl would have listened? Then she wouldn't be married today.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah, I just think too many people have opinions that aren't valid enough.
Yeah.
Like, I think you need to unsolicited. I think you need to have people in your life that you get advice from, and sometimes it's not going to be like we said, like in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
But there has to be a few people that you really trust, and you know that their heart is like,
they'll give it to you if they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that doesn't shock me though.
Right.
So these are all secrets or confessions that you've heard, and we wanted to be where, yeah, you hear secrets of like the not so fun stuff, but you also hear the secret of how to like get through a lot of this. I think you got to have your own relationship with Jesus. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think you got to have your own interpretation of how you experience life with him, and have your few that keep you accountable, that you're actually honest with. And then everything else that tries to make noise doesn't have a place, because you've already got the people in place that need to have one.
Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts, advice, any other confessions you'd like to make, Sammy?
No, I think we said everything. This is a long episode.
Yeah, they're going to be like an hour.
Yeah, hour-ish.
Yeah, something like that. Or you can listen to it on your commute, or you can listen to it while you put your makeup on, or whatever it is. But yeah, we hope that you've gotten some little nuggets from this, and you feel like you've heard some realities. And hey, if you're not in church, guess what? Not all churches will treat you this way.
Correct.
And even if they do, you have a solid enough relationship with yourself and with Jesus that your life isn't going to be controlled by the way that the church operates. Because at the end of the day, it's grown and operated by human beings.
Flaws.
Which we will all have flaws. Even the church Billy and I are starting will have flaws. Like, it doesn't matter where you go or where you end up. If your relationship with Jesus is one that you've created and curated with him, the church isn't going to control it, and they can't sustain it for you either. So that's why you have to find your convictions and find the way you live and
just live.
And just live, baby. So thanks so much for tuning in this week. We know it was a long one. It was probably hefty with lots of rambling and different thoughts and ideas, but we hope you've gotten some help.
We'll be back next week for episode 2, season 1. With our topic will be social media.
So send them in, baby.
Come on, influencers. Send us your
hashtaggers. Yes. So we will be talking about social media. Send in any confessions, trauma you have, how has social media affected you in good, bad. We might call somebody in. We have a friend who, I think she might be listening. friend. We went to high school with her, but we might be calling her in. We have a friend who actually just started a social media company, and she's really brilliant. So we might call her in and just get her ideas on basic social media. Every week is not going to be like super deep about like what to fix and work on and what other people's things are, but sometimes it'll be just us talking about what we enjoy, like social media.
So send us, the email is secretsofaChurchGirl@gmail.com. Send all your secrets.
Okay, we'll see you next week, babies. Bye.